Have you ever wondered if your Pandora jewelry is actually real / high quality? I wondered the same, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put it to the test. As a heads up though, this video is a bit painful to watch as I'll be using acid and pliers to peel apart the Pandora bracelet. Anyway, Pandora Jewelry, right? They claim to use sterling silver all the way. Sterling silver typically consists of 92% silver and 8% copper or other materials, because silver in and by itself is not as robust, so it bends easily if it's just silver. But that composition enables us to test if a piece of jewelry is real rather simple, at least in the first iteration, by using a magnet. You can see here that I'm testing if the magnet works by holding it to my keychain, right? And as expected, because the keys are typically made of brass or nickel brass mixture, we can see that the magnet attracts the key, right? It kind of sticks together. But then if we move on now to the Pandora bracelet, you can see that if I hold the bracelet closer to the magnet, absolutely nothing happens with any of the pieces. There's no attraction, the magnet doesn't stick, nothing, right? This gives us a strong indication that the jewelry isn't at least made with cheap materials. So therefore, let's continue to see how we come closer to 100% of certainty that this is really made of sterling silver. The next test to check if Pandora jewelry is real is by looking at the stamp. It's typically a 3-digit number which tells you the composition of the metal. So this here is the safety chain for a Pandora bracelet, and you can see the stamp S925 if you look closer here. If you imagine a dot between the 2 and the 5, you'll get silver 92.5%. Moving on to this charm, this hedgehog that I bought as well, you can also see the stamp S925, sorry, you're fine as well. Now if we move on to the snake chain bracelet, it's a bit harder to see because the stamp is inside the clasp. But then you can also see the same as on the charm and the safety chain, S925, which again stands for sterling silver, right, 92.5%. You can also see the digits ALE there as well, which is a reference to the father of Pandora, Per Enevoldsen. I really hope I said that name correctly. My Danish is a bit rusty. However, you can probably imagine people can still kind of stamp an S925 without it being real, right? So this is one more indication that the piece of jewelry that you have is real. However, later in the video, I'll actually cut this bracelet in half. I know it's painful, but again, I just want to be certain that we're not being fooled. So the next test is the ice test, and that has been really freaking frustrating, and you'll see in a second why. As you know, I'm not an expert when I researched, how to test metal if it's real or not, right? And I came across this article which stated sterling silver melts ice faster than ice on its own. So I thought, okay, I can do that. I set up these two glasses, filled it with ice, and then threw in the Pandora bracelet. Then basically went for a walk with my dog, let the camera roll for like 40 minutes roughly. And as you can see, this was a giant waste of ice, which I could have used for my gin tonic. I expected, to be honest, that the glass with the bracelet would have melted a lot quicker, but as you can see, it's kind of the same. I probably did something wrong. The only reason I left this part in the video is because I thought it's kind of really satisfying to see the ice melt. Anyway, moving on. This is the test, which is really uncomfortable. Other brands, they claim that the whole bracelet is consisting of probably gold, silver and such, but then the inside of it is going to be a cheaper material, which is beneficial for the company, right? So what you're seeing here is again the hard glass snake chain bracelet. I'm trying to see how the inside looks like of the bracelet, right? So to do so, I'm trying to cut it in half, and I hope you can see this, but the metal after cutting it, right, seems to be the same throughout of the bracelet, which is great. That means that Pandora didn't try to fool us with some other cheaper materials inside. However, this doesn't confirm to 100% certainly, right, that if the metal is actually sterling silver. The most accurate way of testing is if a piece of jewelry is sterling silver is by using chemicals, mainly acid. Well, before we go there though, I make videos about jewelry brands that I encounter, when buying gifts and all these other things, which I'm then trying to share back the knowledge that I've learned with you guys. If you like jewelry, then this video has been really painful to watch. Trust me, it has been really painful to produce as well. But if you see any value in me doing this, it would be super cool if you would leave a like. Thank you. Back to the video. To check if a metal is real is by using chemicals such as acid. And the way it works is pour acid over the piece of jewelry and then it will change its color. And based on the color you'll receive, you know what kind of metal consistency, composition you will get. So if the acid, which I'm going to pour over the Pandora bracelet, right, turns red, it's 90% silver. If the acid turns brownish, it's 80% silver. If it turns greenish, it's only 50% silver. And if it turns any other color, it's some sort of other metal, right? So to do this, I bought a control piece of metal, which I know is sterling silver as well, which you can see is this Disney piece. So the control it should start turning red, but it will fade into brown because it's not all the way sterling silver. But if you can see this right now, I pour in the acid over it, and you can see it turns into a red. Then over time, over the video, you'll see this, it will turn a little bit brownish. The coin that I also have here in the UK, you can see this should turn into something else, right? Because the coin has a consistency of 84% copper and 16% nickel. So let's check this Pandora charm, right? If I pour in the acid over the charm, the color should turn red. And you can see that the color doesn't change, right? So that means over time, the acid will still go through the piece of metal, but even the layers below the top layer are still sterling silver as well, which is a good sign. So the color doesn't change and it should be red. This is the aftermath. So if you care about this piece, don't do this test at home because you can pretty much toss it away afterwards. The next piece is the safety chain. Same test here as well, right? You pour the acid over the jewelry, right? And then you wait for the color change to happen. So it seems also that this, safety chain is also consisting of 92.5% sterling silver, which is great because the color is also red, like on the control group and on the charm before. Especially, I'm happy about this because this piece costs also $45 as well. So thank you, Pandora. Now let's move on to the Pandora bracelet, which costs $65, right? It consists of multiple parts, which is why I'm spreading out the acid a little bit all over. So I'm putting the acid on the clasp, right? But also the snake chain itself and the spacer sections, which separates the charms and the Pandora bracelet, right? So if we look at it, it seems that the entire thing stays red all over, which is a great sign because that means the entire piece of jewelry does consist of sterling silver, which is great. Now, if I clean this up a little bit to see the effects on the acid as well, you can see it's clearly no longer reusable. So if you do this test at home, up to you. After all these tests, right, we could say that Pandora bracelets are in fact real sterling silver. If you're now wondering though, how careful do you actually need to be with your Pandora bracelet, right? Can you smash it against a wall on accident? What about scratches and stuff? Then you might want to check out this stress test video that I've done before as well. One warning, if you thought this video right now was painful to watch, this is even worse. I hope to see you there.